So yes, obviously we've mentioned a couple of times that I'm speaking from a non-Esri UK point of view, and I work for a company called Heliguy, which is a drone solutions company, and we've been invited by Esri UK to help support this program because it gives a slightly different perspective. Esri being who they are, they work with a lot of different companies, and usually all of the data and systems feed back into a GIS as a whole. So ultimately, what we do is we deliver data, we provide solutions for companies who need data, and that all ties in together with the software. I'll go through my role in a lot more detail as we go through the slides. So just a little bit about myself. As I say, I'm Ben, and my role at GIS, my role at Heliguy is a GIS lead. We're a UK-based company who are a drone specialist. So, given the nature of the market, it's not there's not loads of companies out there who do the same as what we do, but there are a lot of companies which work with drones. And so we help enable companies to be able to capture the data accurately and correctly so that it can be presented in GIS to be made decisions upon. So the role is really diverse. I do different things every day, and that's the different thing about working for a slightly smaller company like Heliguy as opposed to Esri. And I do stuff like technical and sales consultancy, so that's working with clients to develop their specific workflows. So they'll quite often use traditional equipment, and we'll help integrate drone technology into that. And then we'll guide those clients all the way through from start to finish. So a drone program is something which is constantly evolving. They'll need support, which they might not have realized at the start, but as things develop and new hardware, new software, and new systems come out, they'll need us to help keep them updated and make sure that they're getting the most value out of their drone program. So my career so far, a little bit unlike the couple of speakers so far, I actually studied GIS as a degree, as a full undergraduate degree. Many people do study it as a geography degree, and quite often with a master's or even with some embedded modules that can give you the oversight as to what you need. But the reason why I come to do GIS was simply because at school I enjoyed doing IT and I enjoyed doing geography, and my teacher said, why don't you try GIS? And we did touch on maybe it slightly at school, but it wasn't something I was very familiar with. And when I went to the open day, I thought it looked really interesting because it's very practical based. And yeah, you work with computers, new technologies, and it seemed like something which was for me because it wasn't as much just working with textbooks all the time. So in 2016, I started my degree at Newcastle University, which is the city which I'm also from and do work at this time. And we carried out the degree. It was a 3-year course, and a lot of it, as I expected, was practical based. So working with land surveying equipment, working with GIS systems to process the data. And we worked with lots of different in situ projects as well. So the picture which you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there, that's a in situ field trip which we did, where we spent a week working with data which we collected, and it was a really good experience. During that degree as well, we also studied because the program itself was a combination of both GIS and land survey. So it allowed us to get the experience of both. Land survey is traditionally more collecting your topographical survey on the ground data sets, whereas GIS is traditionally more your global data sets, making more analysis and informed decisions. But it gave me good experience of both to take into my professional life. So the next stage of my career, I went on to be a land surveyor at Academy Geomatics, which is just a local survey company. And I worked there for about 6 months, 7 months. And when working for a land surveying company, there's a wide variety of different types of activities and jobs which you'll assist on. And one of the largest I worked on, which I'll go into in a little bit more detail in a second, is with the Environmental Agency around a coastal monitoring project. But we did a lot of stuff to do with drainage, river surveys, utility surveys, and probably stuff I can't even remember now, but probably more so tailored towards your digital twins and anything to do with 3D data. And so that experience after I left university was something which was really, really important for where I am today, because it confounded all of the stuff which you learn at university. If anyone's like me, you probably needed that experience coming out of university, just really to settle down and be able to put all of that theory, what you've learned, and put it into practice, so you can understand why all of this data and all of the different concepts coming together. So it was a really important 6 months for myself. So as I mentioned, that one project in particular took up a lot of my time, and that was a coastal monitoring project for the Environmental Agency. And this is effectively where the coastline across the UK gets split up into, I think it's about 20 cells. And we had one cell which stretched from Alnwick all the way down to Scarborough. And I think that works out as about 200 miles. And it was really, really good because, as I say, it was getting me used to the equipment, the workflows, and then processing the data back in the office. But it was quite unique because I got to spend a lot of time on the northeast coastline, and some of which was really good. During the summers, it was nice, and it got a nice tan. But then by the end of the period of survey, it was into winter, and yeah, it wasn't quite as enjoyable of an experience, but it was still nice to do. So this takes me on to where I am today, and this is as the GIS lead at Heliguy, and I've been here since 2019, so just about three years now, just ticked over. And I joined as a GIS specialist, and I've now gone to GIS lead slash geospatial manager. So it's a company which was promoted within, very similar to Esri UK and the program which they have. And it's a role which has really allowed me to develop not just my professional skills in terms of my GIS capabilities, but also my personal professional skills. So being able to present and talk and deliver information to clients in a way which they will be able to understand and appreciate that. So that's something which has been really valuable for me. I've enjoyed it. And it's probably down to the fact of the amount of different types of roles which we have to do at Heliguy. So as I mentioned, we do specific survey training, and we do survey consultancy, and then we do technical support. So there's always different activities, both GIS and consultancy based, which we have to work with. One of my main highlights while working at Heliguy, and it ties it quite in nicely to our partner Esri as well, is that we co-presented and co-exhibited an exhibition at Digital Construction Week. And it was an event which was my first trade show, and trade shows are really, really good for networking. You get to meet a lot of interesting people. All of the newest and greatest technologies are on display. And Digital Construction Week was my first, and as we were welcome enough to invite us along, and I co-presented with one of their engineering specialists as well. So it was a really good week. We generated some good contacts for Heliguy, but it was also just a nice experience for myself, and being able to share it with Esri and discuss different opportunities from a GIS perspective was something I really enjoyed. So this brings me to one of my largest programs, which I ran as a survey job. So part of our role, as I mentioned, we help to support clients throughout the whole process when they're trying to bring drones into their organization. There's a lot of things involved in it. You have to have the certain regulations, the correct qualifications, and then also have the capability to actually capture the data, i.e. the hardware and the subject matter based knowledge. So we run something called the Drone Assistive Program, and this is essentially where we will be on site, we'll deliver a service, and that service will be to collect data which they can use the data on a live project. But at the same time, so that they can then use this on their next project, we then train the client up so that they can then perform those same data capture techniques, whether it's on a different project or periodical on the same project. And Pagan Bay was a really interesting time for me because it was the first time I had a lead on such a large project. The size of the area, if I just come down on your left hand side, was 4.5 kilometers squared. So with traditional land survey techniques, this is something which would take quite a long time to survey. And with satellite based imagery, you might be looking at data which is weeks or months out of date. So drone data provides you with really accurate but also current data that can be used on live projects. And it's a process of something called photogrammetry, which leads you to produce something similar to what you can see on screen now, but then also a certain type of data collection called LiDAR, which is a more efficient and direct measurement type of data capture technique. And my role at Heliguy is great because a lot of companies will have to invest massively into embedding this type of technology, but I'm the one who can help support them throughout that process and ensure that it's as smooth as possible. So it's quite a satisfactory. I get quite a lot of satisfaction out of that side of things. Out of interest as well, that's a Matrice 300 on the left-hand side. That's one of the largest DJI aircraft. It weighs about 7 kilograms. It's quite a beast when you see it fly. If you ever get to experience anything with drones, I hope it's that one. So the role, and I'll just go through this bit a little bit more brief, but there's a lot of elements. Preparations to taking off your drone is really important. You have to ensure that you're in the correct airspace. It's important because obviously it's not just like using data on the ground. You've got to ensure that everything's safe to fly. You're quite often operating in environments with members of the public, so you have to follow all of the procedures quite rigorously. But at the end of that process, you come out with something which looks similar to this. There's lots of other types of data sets which can come out. But what you can see here is a LiDAR data set on the right-hand side. And then on the left-hand side, that's an orthomosaic. And that they are the basic outputs, what you'll get from aerial imagery. But there's a lot of types of deliverables which you can get through that. And this is where we connect our work at Heliguy with what we have in our partners at Esri. And the data set you can see here, I won't click and open it because I think it'll take me into a different tab. But essentially that's a DTM derived using ArcGIS. So the data which we've collected with a drone has been put into ArcGIS, Esri's platform, and they've produced a model which represents the ground. And this can be used to model floods and be able to monitor anything where elevation might cause an effect due to runoffs, etc. And then this is a nice little ability. So the platform which we're presenting this on today is Story Maps, and it allows you to embed GIS data into it. And this is where I really enjoy working with Esri because it allows me to get the most out of the data which we collect. So for a bit of background on the project which I've showed you, this spit here is actually been causing a lot of flooding in a caravan park up towards the north. And this has meant that they've had to invest and essentially remove part of the spit, and it allows the low tide from outside of the harbour to be correct with the low tide inside of the harbour and sort of narrow down the flood risk. So what do I like about my current role? Heliguy is a company which I've worked with for most of my professional career, with obviously Academy Geomatics being a small part of that at the start. But what I found was that working with a company like Heliguy and Esri too, you're working at the forefront of the industry. You're working with the newest softwares, you're working with the newest hardwares and the most advanced data capture techniques. And it's not something where you think, oh, I'm just doing a job. It really does feel like you're making a difference. And that's why it really appealed to me when I was looking for a new role after my original graduate opportunity. Another element of the job which I like is training others. So when I was at university and in school, I wasn't very confident in speaking in front of people. And when I come to Heliguy, they offered me the opportunity to do some training courses. And that was something which I was a little bit cautious to say yes to at first. But once I got into it and realized when it's something which you enjoy teaching and enjoy speaking about, then it becomes a little bit more natural. And that's probably been the most important thing for me at Heliguy, the way I can enjoy being in front of a classroom and working with a group of people to help bring them to the place which they need to be. And then the ongoing consultancy as well. That's an area which is involved in every area of the job. So as I mentioned, the technical aspect, helping people with data, making sure that they're managing to get the results which you need, but then also in the pre-sales side of things, we have to go through the sales processes, but what we find is that working with them based on their requirements always makes them more open to the investment. So that's why we have the programs like the drone assistive program. So taking a look back at why I chose and why I'm still enjoying it, it's something which has really come about from my time at university, and when at university, as I'm sure a lot of you might be now, or could be in the future. It's something where you might worry about your grades because obviously they are very important. But no matter what your grades are, if you've got a passion, companies like Heliguy and Esri do employ based on your personal skills. And if you do have the passion to really push on with that, then you'll always find a place and a position which you like within the industry, just like I have and the team have today. So looking ahead, where do I see myself in 5 years? And I'd like to say I'd see myself at Heliguy or a company similar to Heliguy, where I'm working with some similar technologies. There's a lot of opportunities out there. So I think when you come out of university, you sometimes think, have I got a lot of opportunity based on the experience which I have? But there's always opportunities to find out there. And Paddy Guy was a really good one for me. And there's all it's a growing industry as well. So stuff like drones and GIS, it's only going to get bigger. So myself, I think I'll stay firmly within this industry, and I hope it continues to grow so that we have other people like myself.